2100 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister has directed to prepare an emergency program to address the issues pertaining to the Ministries of Energy and Petroleum. The Special Assistant on Information says the government is committed to the protection of women's constitutional, legal, political, social and economic rights. The Emergency Core Group was informed in Islamabad today that the federal and the provincial governments are ready to meet any challenge with regard to coronavirus. The OIC Secretary General Special Envoy on Kashmir has termed the Indian designs to change the demography of occupied Kashmir as sheer violation of United Nations resolutions. Pakistan has called for ensuring fair regional representation in the United Nations Security Council by adding more non-permanent seats. The International Criminal Court has authorized an investigation into possible war crimes in Afghanistan. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has directed to prepare an emergency program to address the issues pertaining to the Ministries of Energy and Petroleum. He was addressing a high-level meeting in Islamabad today to review measures taken to improve the performance of state-owned enterprises. The Prime Minister emphasized to take emergency measures to control the existing challenges in both sectors, and a massive awareness campaign among the general public should also be launched. He said such campaign will help the government to take them into confidence about its initiatives, and suggestions from the general public can also be gathered. The Prime Minister said professionals and technology experts should be appointed in both the ministries so that the existing problems and challenges can be dealt with by utilizing the best human resources. Prime Minister Imran Khan in a tweet today said Prime Minister Citizen Portal application has crossed the 1.5 million mark users within 15 months with 92% resolution of public complaints. He said this result is unprecedented in Pakistan. The Prime Minister commended his team for bridging the gap between the citizens and the government departments. He said this is actual citizens' empowerment. The Special Assistant on Information and Broadcasting, Dr. Firdaus Ashikawan, says the government is committed to the protection of women's constitutional, legal, political, social and economic rights. In a tweet today, she said the incumbent government is opposed to every sort of exploitation of women. The Special Assistant said steps ranging from inheritance rights to the passage of Zainab Alert Bill showed the government's strong commitment and stance on women's rights. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Health, Dr. Zafar Mirza, says every possible step is being taken to cope with coronavirus. Chairing a meeting of Emergency Core Group in Islamabad today, he said the federal and the provincial governments and other institutions are fully ready to meet the challenge and protect the people from the virus. The Special Assistant said screening is being ensured at the airports and along the ground routes. He said only 5 coronavirus cases have so far been reported in the country. The country representative for the United Nations Population Fund, Lena Musa, called on the advisor to the Prime Minister on Finance, Dr. Abdul Hafiz Sheikh, in Islamabad today. They discussed ways for further strengthening strategic partnership. The country representative briefed the advisor on various initiatives undertaken by the United Nations Population Fund with different ministries and departments on national and provincial levels. Pakistan and China have expressed the resolve to expand the scope of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor as the world's first drug-free corridor. This was decided during the meeting for narcotics control. This was decided during the Minister for Narcotics Control, Shahryar Khan Afridi's sideline meetings with the participant delegations from China, Russia, Iran, Tajikistan and United Arab Emirates at the United Nations 63rd CND session in Vienna. The Minister for Narcotics Control, Shahryar Khan Afridi, also held a meeting with the American Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State James Walsh in Vienna. During the meeting, they expressed the resolve to work jointly to save the suffering humanity by eradicating the menace of drugs. This is Radio Pakistan. The Foreign Minister Shah Qureshi has underlined the need to highlight the prevailing tense situation in occupied Kashmir at all international fora. He was addressing a consultative meeting in Islamabad this afternoon, which was convened to review the ongoing situation in occupied Kashmir. The Foreign Minister regretted that the global community has kept mum over the massive human rights violations committed by the Indian troops in the held territory. Meanwhile, addressing a seminar in Islamabad this evening, the Foreign Minister Shah Qureshi said Pakistan remains committed to its core objective of lowering tensions and promoting peace and stability in the region. He said Pakistan will not become a party to any regional conflict and would continue to support negotiated settlement of all regional disputes. He said conflicts are not in favor of any country and dialogue is the only viable option to bring peace and stability to the region. The OIC Secretary General Special Envoy on Kashmir Yusuf Al-Dobieh has termed the Indian designs to change the demography of occupied Kashmir as a sheer violation of United Nations resolutions. He expressed these views at a meeting with the Azad Jammu Kashmir Prime Minister Raja Farooq Haider Khan in Muzaffarabad today. The envoy reiterated OIC's demand of implementing the United Nations resolutions to grant the Kashmiris their inalienable right to self-determination and peaceful settlement of the long-standing Kashmir dispute. He said resolution of Kashmir issue will be presented in the next meeting of the organization. The Azad Jammu Kashmir Prime Minister appreciated the OIC for placing Kashmir issue on top of its agenda. He urged the organization to counter the false Indian narrative, which is throwing dust in the eyes of the world bodies and hiding its war crimes in the occupied valley. At the United Nations, Pakistan has called for ensuring fair regional representation in a reformed Security Council by adding more non-permanent seats. Taking part during a debate on the issue, the permanent representative of Pakistan to the United Nations, Munir Akram, said equitable representation has been the primary impulse behind all Security Council reform efforts. He said India, Brazil, Germany and Japan have shown no flexibility in their campaign for expanding the Security Council by 10 seats, while Italy and Pakistan-led Uniting for Consensus group strongly opposes any additional permanent members. The Iranian Supreme Leader Sayyid Ali Khamenei says hearts of the Muslims all over the world are aggrieved over the massacre of Muslims in India. In a tweet, he urged the Indian government to confront the extremist Hindus and their parties and stop the massacre of Muslims to avoid its isolation from the Muslim world. Responding to the Iranian Supreme Leader Sayyid Ali Khamenei's tweet, the President Dr. Arif Alvi has said there must be a unified stance over the massacre of Muslims in India. In a tweet, he said, looking at history of Nazi extremism and that of Myanmar, this may lead to Muslim genocide in India. The president urged the world not to ignore the obvious similarities. The International Criminal Court has authorized an investigation into possible war crimes committed in Afghanistan. The presiding judge, Pyotr Hofsmansky, said the International Criminal Court overturned an appeal on a previous decision to block the investigation. The actions of the Taliban, the Afghan government and American troops since May 2003 are expected to be examined. And now cricket. In the 18th match of the Pakistan Super League against Quetta Gladiators in Rawalpindi, Peshawar's Zalmi were 57 runs for the loss of 2 wickets in 7 overs a short while ago. Earlier, Quetta Gladiators won the toss and elected to field. The match has been reduced to 15 overs aside due to rain. And finally, the weather. Rain, wind, thunderstorm is expected in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Islamabad, Punjab, Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan and Upper Sindh. Heavy falls, hailstorms are also expected at a few places in Kashmir, Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Northeast Balochistan, whereas Torrential rains may generate flash flooding in the local nullas. Rain with dust-raising winds are also expected in Upper Sindh during the next 24 hours. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.